Daniel Bryan had his final match perhaps this weekend at Wrestle Dream. We don't know, but he did lose the belt. We're going to talk about that. Also, Crown Jewel shaping up. What's happening? We'll take a look into that. We'll see what's happening. Raw was pre-taped. Why? We'll let you guys know. All this and so much more on this episode of Samp&Chance Wrestling. So strap in and thank you for letting us into your ears. And if you guys have made it this far, hit that like and subscribe button because all the support means the world to us. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Samp&Chance Wrestling. I am your host, Bobby Sampson, joined as always, my man with the master plan, Mr. Chance Michaels. Chance, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Yourself?
Can't complain, man. Here we are. It's Tuesday. We're getting closer and closer to Crown Jewel. Wrestle Dream is in the bag. So, things are happening all over the world. But, guy, let's get into it, man. Wrestle Dream. It happened this weekend from the Tacoma Dome. Typical AEW card, very long, very, I don't know. I mean, it was okay, but again, it was just an AEW card, right? What did you think?
Same thing I say about WWE. Neither one of the companies, I don't think, are putting out great products overall. But what the main thing here is obviously the Daniel Bryan retirement match. You got to go out against John Moxley, put John over. Um, yeah, I thought they gave him a bigger send off than that. I don't know. Maybe he'll come back, but he put on a good match. I mean, the guy's mid 40s. He's broken down, busted neck, probably sore all over. He went all out. They put on a good match. Obviously, stole the show. He got to do it in his hometown of Washington State, where he's born, where he was raised, where he made his name. So from that perspective, it was a good send off for him to do it in his backyard. I'm sure all of his family and friends, everybody grew up with. A lot of guys from out here traveled down to watch it because he's pretty big in Vancouver area too, because he wrestled locally. So I mean, he picked his opponent. He wanted to pass the torch to Moxley. There's some Tony Schiavone is trying to say that John Moxley like the new Stone Cold. He's not. He's not as popular, not as gifted on the mic, but that's the persona they're trying to give for Moxley. So if that's the case, he's your biggest star. Bryan put him over. So I got no problem with how they booked that, actually. Did a pretty good job.
Yeah, well, first off, it wasn't really considered a retirement match. They never sold it as such. They never called it as that. I mean, for people to know, Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, sorry, has been fighting without a contract for 7 months here, as you know. So for people need to know that as well. Um, but he has admitted himself that he shouldn't have fought maybe Osprey or a couple other guys leading up to this match because of the injuries that he's had. I mean, the guy goes all out every match, right? Like, I mean, he throws caution to the wind. I don't know if it was a passing of the torch more so than just kind of, because I mean, Moxley's been there, he has been world champion. Calling him the next Stone Cold, I don't see that either. I mean, it doesn't have that same kind of persona. But I mean, I can see them
Well,
putting
he's trying to be the Tony Schiavone trying to say he's the outlaw. He does what he wants, comes in the crowd, F the system kind of mentality.
Yeah, but he has more of a vicious side than Stone Cold did, right? Like, I mean, if this is an evolution
I
of
don't know what I think the most vicious thing you could ever do is punch out your boss. Doesn't get much more vicious than that. And Stone Cold did that,
yeah,
right?
but I mean, that was fine too. But I mean, putting a plastic bag over the head, trying to suffocate your opponent, those kind of things, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, it's just a bit more brutality aspect of it, like, with the toolbox and, you know,
So he's more of a hardcore wrestler,
well,
but
that's it. That's it, right? So, I have no problem with Moxley taking the title. It's probably good on him. I mean, it probably makes more sense. He's more of a viable heel right now. And I mean, I guess maybe they need something going into the new TV deals and stuff like that. Someone more reliable. I mean, if you want to talk about passing of the torch, it would be to a Darby Allin or someone like that, in terms of
well,
passing
it's
the
just like
torch.
Rock and Hogan, right? Daniel Bryan's their guy. He can't go no more. Hogan was their guy. Pass it to Rock, pass it to Moxley. Now Moxley can say, I ended his career. I retired him, play off all that. That's what they're doing. It's going to spin this, I'm assuming. So we'll
Well,
see.
yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I mean, Daniel's going now for neck surgery, which is overdue. So, I mean, neck surgery is neck surgery. Who knows how long he's going to be out for if he even comes back. But I do believe his in-ring professional career, full-time wise, is over. There's
It
just
should
not
be if he wants any quality of life
well at this level,
going
yeah,
forward.
right, yeah, 100%. The other thing, MVP coming out on this card as well, confronting another Washington guy. I didn't, Swerve is from Washington himself as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so he kind of came out after like he this was his first appearance, Swerve's first appearance since fighting Hangman in that steel cage. So we haven't seen him since then. Um, Bobby Lashley, we know, has signed the contract. Uh, I thought, in my own personal opinion, this would have been the segment where you have him come out. But Tony Khan's thinking was, oh no, no, we don't want to take away from all the great action that we have on this card. I think that was a mistake. That would have done great numbers for you guys. That would have been the spot for him to kind of make his return. I mean, why would you have him return on Dynamite? It just doesn't make sense, right? I don't know.
Actually, kind of, I thought about it at first. I was going with what you said. I thought about it. I think Tony made the right call. Why? Nobody, people that are going to order Wrestle Dream have already ordered it. They're not going to order it because of Bobby Lashley. So Dynamite ratings are low. They want to bring them up. So I guess he figures we'll bring out Bobby Lashley, pretty well known name, pretty popular guy. Bring him out in Dynamite, get us another 100,000 viewers because Wrestle Dream was going to sell the same with or without Bobby if you made him as a surprise, right? So that's how his mentality. I'm assuming that's what he's thinking.
Yeah,
If
but
that's
I
what he's
mean,
thinking, I agree with him on that.
no, well, you know what? I see it the other way though. I think that if he had brought him out at the pay-per-view, your ratings for Dynamite would have gone up anyways, automatically, right? I mean, if anything, at
But
this
most,
point
but
in time,
they only sell in 100,000 pay per view. So
no,
most audience don't watch their pay per
that's
views.
fine. I appreciate what you're saying. What I'm saying is, if they had brought him out at the pay-per-view, they would have increased their ratings automatically for Dynamite. Now they're going to go into Dynamite, and people are going to hear about it at the last minute. You're going to get people tuning in if they tune in at the last minute, sort of a deal, whereas people would be anticipating, to see what Bobby's going to do on Dynamite. You know what I mean? That's there's two
I
ways
hear
of
what you're
looking at
saying,
it.
but I don't agree with Tony Khan on much. But I actually think he made the right call here. So we'll see what the ratings are and if it made a difference or not. We'll find out on Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. Overall, though, I thought the card was okay. Like again, it was just a mixed match of matches. Like I don't like. Okay, I know Brody King and oh, we just talked about him. What's his name? Oh, help me out here, buddy. What's his
I don't
name?
know who we just talked about. Darby, John
Darby Allen.
Moxley.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
Darby Allen. So those guys had a fight. Yeah, they've had a bit of a history, but it just seems so counterproductive. It didn't make sense to me why those two were kind of fighting on the card. The other thing that really stood out, it was a good match, but again, it was I call it Circus Soleil quality type matches between Osprey, Ricochet. Those guys win at it again. It was a triple threat match with the Japanese fella in there as well, Tazuku, I believe it is. Between the three of them, I mean, they had a pretty solid match. It was a lot of fun. They kept calling it match of the year, but I mean, ultimately, it was what it was. It was just a lot of high spots, and just yeah, a lot of high spots, man. Just it was
yeah.
what it was, but it was fun. Um, Probably the one match that made no sense to me at all. And I claim to be a wrestling fan, and I claim to know who's who in the wrestling world. I had no idea who this Bortis guy was fighting.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy was either, the hologram or whatever.
Hologram,
I
yeah,
think he's well known in like the even more hardcore circle than you're in. I think he must be known somewhere. Somebody must know who the guy is. Why you bring him out on tape? He's not even a well known household name. I don't understand that. It's ridiculous.
well, that's the other thing. And then they had the backstage segment with Sasha Banks Monet. Now she has a title defense against this lady who's no one knows, never heard of. So it's just kind of like, if you're trying to build up the division and how can you do that when you keep giving title shots to people who just show up on the scene? You're neglecting the talent that's there, putting in the work. You know what I mean? I don't understand the booking, man.
I think Tony he's a smart guy, right? I'm not saying he's the smartest booker. Overall in life, he's a pretty smart guy. He helps run Jacksonville. Like he's a successful businessman, even though it's mostly from his dad. But he's like Shane McMahon,
No, no,
right?
Fulham.
Yeah, no, he runs Jacksonville Jaguars too.
Oh, Jackson. I thought you said Aston Villa. Sorry.
No.
Fulham.
So
Yeah, yeah.
so Tony Khan is heavily involved. So he's not a stupid man.
No.
Doesn't mean he knows how to book a good wrestling show, but I think what he's going for here is he's just trying to make this independent wrestling with indie-rific guys like Daniel Bryan, all these guys, and put it on steroids and bring it to the masses. It's not really working, but that's I think his mentality is. It has to be. The only explanation why you bring out guys you've never heard of.
Well, I think it's that, or he's just a smart mark, man. Like he's just
He's a
marking out
hardcore
too
fan of that.
much, right?
That's what it is.
He's not able to separate himself. Like if you look at Fulham, you look at Jacksonville Jaguars, the teams that he kind of helps manage. I'm sure he has more of a business hat on there. I don't think he looks at Trevor Lawrence or guys that are on the team in Jacksonville, anyways, or in Fulham the way he looks at wrestlers with awe and, kind of his
Yeah,
eyes fill up with stars and, he forgets what he is. He's like a little kid, right? I
absolutely.
think I think AEW would benefit if he runs it the same mentality that they run the other entities that they have.
Well, he's got his dad overseeing him and all those too, right? This one he oversees himself. That's the problem. Nobody to give him checks and balances.
But problem or not, if he tries to work in the same mindset that he does over on the other side, I think we would have a much more closer competitive number two overall.
Yeah, but then you get the hardcore AEW fans that'll tell you, they're 800. We got what, 1.5 million to watch Raw, 1.8 million, and we got 800,000 watching Dynamite. Very, very small portion of the population for all North America. The AEW fans will tell you their show's way better. They got better wrestlers, and WWE guys will tell you they're so much better, right? So
Hey
I
man,
just go by what the
I
numbers
thought
say.
when
The WWE
AEW
gets
when
better ratings,
when
so
AEW
has to
came
be a
out
better
five
show.
years ago, I was like, hey, this is fun. Wow, this is exciting. But then that ran out
I never thought
after a
that.
month. Right?
Yeah,
But in the beginning it was because it was new. It was different. I mean, it's kind of like, oh wow,
doesn't
there's
make it
an
good though.
alternative. Doesn't matter, man. It was an alternative, right?
It doesn't
I
mean you're
mean,
saying it was good and fun. I'm saying I never thought it was good and fun.
yeah,
I
well,
thought it was at best.
again, and then that's your opinion, right? Like, some guys didn't like it. I thought it was fun just because it was
Mm-hmm.
different. I didn't say it was exciting. I didn't think it was a better product. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was just different to see a place for other guys to go again. It's kind of like until AEW. I mean, yeah, there was a couple other spots here and there, but it's like basically having only McDonald's to go to every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was just nice to
I
have that.
find I find wrestling fans, they're very fickle compared to other sports. For example, if somebody gets cut, we're always so worried about where they're going to go. Where they're going to go? Why do we care? They go. They're already successful. They already have enough money. Why are we worried about where they're going to go? If somebody gets cut from the Jacksonville Jaguars, we don't say, "Oh, where's he going? Is he going to go to CFL? He's retired." We just don't care. You know what I mean? The
Because
wrestling
wrestling
fans are
is
very fickle. We're
different.
so worried
Wrestling.
about where they go. These guys are well off. They're
No,
fine. I'm
no.
not
Well,
worried
I
about
think
anything.
I think because it's wrestling is a story, right? That's the piece. I think it's just because it's the storytelling. It's all the elements that go into wrestling itself. I mean, again, majority of us know what wrestling is, right? We're invested in the storylines. We're invested in the characters. It's like watching. It's like our mothers watching soap operas. In essence, this is what it is, right? Whereas with other sports, we already know these guys are making millions and millions of dollars and whatnot.
Wrestling, their
And
guys are pretty well off too. They make hundreds of
no,
thousands.
well, the higher ones, yes, right. A lot of them
Yeah.
aren't, right? But I think it's just because that investment in the character that's what
No, you're
draws
right. You're right.
people.
But to me, like I love Shawn Michaels, but if Ari fired him tomorrow, I wouldn't care. The guy's he's a great wrestler. He's got millions upon millions of dollars. Who cares? He's
Yeah,
successful. I don't need to worry about him.
no, I no, and again, your point. I'm sure that's shared with a lot of people, but I think there's a lot of people the other way as well, right? And I'm
Oh
with
yeah, real wrestling
like
fans are they love their
and I'm
product.
with you as well. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, most of these guys make lots of money. They know what they're doing, right?
Mm,
I feel for some of the lower echelon guys. But here's the thing: if you're a lower echelon guy, and this is where WWE and AEW can be divided completely right there and then. You could take a C tier wrestler from WWE who's been on Raw, who's been on SmackDown, but it is a C tier wrestler. Ultimately, if they leave, they're still going to make more money than a guy who leaves AEW going anywhere else just because of the rub and where they've been in WWE. Just that gives it to you. It's like we talk about MJF, how great he is, how good he is, and everything, but he will only reach a certain level until he goes to WWE to get global stardom,
mm. Yeah.
right? So,
Well, it's
that's
pretty. I
the
know what you're
thing.
saying. Yeah, it's hard to say. Wrestling is it's a different breed of fans. They're very very fickle. The wrestlers, I know this from booking shows, running a promotion. They're probably the most sensitive. I'm talking about the workers, the most sensitive crybabies. Not all of them, a lot of them. Of any sport I'm around, in the boxing, in the football, whatever I'm doing, my kids' hockey. I've never seen so many grown men so sensitive and so insecure about themselves. Get out there, work hard. If they like you, we like you. You're good. If not, you're not. This is the way it goes. You can't feel bad for every wrestler you don't book. You
I
don't
think,
cut.
I
These are
think,
grown men, right?
I think at
Very,
the
very
indie
sensitive
level,
people.
yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, maybe I don't know how much that translate once they get to the shows, but I guess indie guys can feel that way, since they have their 9 to 5 gigs that they have to work. This
Mm-hmm.
is this is like side gig. right? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
Samp&Chance, in
Well,
essence,
no, they don't view it that way. So this is how they
no, no,
view it.
no, but no, but what I'm trying to say is this is the way it is, right? Like, even with us, like, if people who are doing what we do, right? I
Mhm.
mean, until you can reach a certain level, this is a side gig for us as well. We have our daily gigs, we have our daily jobs, but we put our energy and our life into what we're trying to create here
Yeah.
on this
So
level.
so some of
Same
these,
with the indie guys, right? Like, I mean, those guys, yeah, a lot of them are crybabies. A lot of
oh,
them don't get it,
most of them,
right?
95% of them.
And I think what frustrates me about that level is like if you guys are trying to get to a certain point, be blessed and happy that you get to do what you're doing. I think a
Yeah.
lot of these guys forget the simplicity of why they got into it in the first place, right? I mean,
Well, I'll tell you what they tell me when we don't give them the spot they want. Their mentality is not so much they miss out on the $100 payday, the $150 payday. It's they feel if they're not being booked, if they're not being showcased, that hurts their chances to get step up to the next level. So every match you don't give them, every spot you don't give them, every angle they don't work, they get kind of pissy. Not all of them, most of them, and then they get all pissy because they think you're shooting them in the foot going forward, and so they start whining, complaining, bitching, threatening to leave, and a bunch of crybabies. A lot
hey,
of them, not
but
all of them.
wrestling 101 is this, man. Crowd reaction and crowd approval and crowd interaction. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. It's the
And
psychology of it.
and the biggest key of it all that I've learned being backstage, who likes you?
Well, I mean, okay, that's from a backstage perspective, but once you go through that curtain and you come out, I mean, if the crowd's not into you, that's no booker's fault. That's nobody's
Yeah,
fault.
that's part of
You
it too.
you have to look at your character and see, okay, what am I doing wrong here? You can have an amazing character, but if people aren't buying into you, right? Like I know that you want to be cheered and you want to be booed, but people are so focused on just that. Fuck it, man. You just take the sound that you're getting. It doesn't matter as long as the crowd is into it, one way or the other. That's all that matters because that's what sells. It's not like if I'm walking by Hastings Park and I see the wrestling in the ring, I might look
Mm-hmm.
at it, but I'm more probably inclined to turn around and stop because I hear the crowd. Hey, what are these guys cheering about? That's what it is. It's
But
like,
even if they like you, the promoters and bookers and owners don't like you backstage, no matter how much they love you, they'll still book you, but they'll shoot you in the foot and they'll start winding you down. I see it all the time.
okay, but that's from the backside of it, right? I mean, it's
But that
about,
affects you going out there too, though, right?
well, I
You
mean,
change your
but
angle, they don't give you that
you
spot,
know what?
and so much nepotism in wrestling, especially
No,
in WWE.
hey,
You know,
you know what? I get that, but all I'm trying to say is that even if you're dealt with those kind of cards and that's the kind of stuff, at the end of the day, the people backstage can be whatever they want,
mm-hmm.
right? You go out there, you do the best you can. There's other promotions, right? I mean, there's tape. So if you go out there and you bust your ass and the crowd's reacting, it doesn't matter what they say to you backstage. We're lucky enough that the independent scene, well, they're lucky enough the independent scene's big enough that there are other places they can go and hone their craft. So my message to indie wrestlers today is very simple. It doesn't matter what they say to you backstage. It doesn't matter if this is your dream, if this is your passion, go after it, man. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you're the one who's moving up, not the guys that are trying to hold you down if that's what you want to believe, right? I mean, in some cases, sure, that probably is the case, but I believe in a lot of the times these guys are lost in their own head and they think that they deserve more than they're willing to put in. Plain and simple.
Yeah, yes and no. I hear what you're saying, but I don't want to burn too many of these guys because some of them are my good friends.
No,
But
there's nothing
I hear what you're
burning.
saying.
We're not burning anybody. There's nothing that we've said here that's burning an individual or a performer. All we're saying is look past it. Like this is where you got to work
Let
hard.
me put it to you this way, and I'm not going to mention names.
No,
Um, we got a lot of rookies at CAW. We got some veterans. Okay, there's one veteran who I don't know how to word this carefully. He comes to the boxing MMA shows. He's not even a boxing MMA fan. He can't stand it. This guy is what I consider a nerd. Okay, he's just a hardcore nerd, a classic wrestling guy, right? You know what I mean? Like a hardcore guy, like a Tony Khan, but he's got some muscles. He showed up to the show for one reason only, not to watch the fights, not to sit with me. One reason only. You know what that was?
what's that?
To take down the ring. A boxing ring that he's not even part of the boxing show. He's not even nothing to do with it, but he's doing that because he's showing the guys that are in charge. Hey, I'm not just Don't just give me my spot because of my name, because I've been a veteran. I don't know, he's been wrestling, let's say 14 years. I don't know the exact number. And what does he do? When we go to Hastings track, so when we go to the training center in Surrey, there's only one veteran that shows up there to help us load that ring up on the truck. Same guy. When we bring it to the track, if he's not working, there's only one veteran that shows up with all the other grunts, haul that up the stairs.
And if it's the same veteran that we're talking about, that you're talking about, I've seen him do this in Calgary, in Alberta, where it's not even his home territory, right? Like if anything, you would be the outside guest and you're treated with a little bit more where you're not expected to do, pay your dues sort of a deal. But this guy's always doing
He doesn't
this
have to pay his dues. There's guys that have less experience than him that don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's why you're not required to, but when you go the extra mile and show what you can do,
Yeah.
you get noticed and works in your favor. So
yeah, and
but an extra work basically if you want a good spot.
These are the little things, right? Like, I mean, you have to go above and beyond. There's guys that are entitled in the independent scenes that think that they should get everything. And we've seen it. We know who they are, right? They're guys in these promotions that shouldn't be wrestling anymore, but are still trotted out there. We know who they are. We're not saying names, but that's just the reality of what we're dealing here with locally. And I think it frustrates me a little bit sometimes when I see these guys because it's like they have potential and they're not willing to put that work in. But we have that one individual who is. He has, like you said, he has no reason to be there. He has no reason to do the work that he's putting in. He's already got his spot.
Yeah.
In most cases, he's always in the last half of the card, right? Like, So
usually, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, respect to that individual, but I mean, people can learn from that. Yeah, I'm sure there's some ego there and whatnot. And I get it. Wrestling is competitive. You're working, you got to keep your spot, right? It doesn't matter if you're at WWE, if you're here at the local level in Vancouver, you still got to work hard for your spot. If you're not performing, if you're not putting the time in, you're not going to keep your spot.
Yeah. In the weird, wacky world of wrestling, sensitive everybody for the most part. If you're not working, you're being worked. And that's all these guys do. At every level. Nepotism runs rampant through the world of wrestling. From the WWE, as we see who the two bookers are, we know nepotism, and even all the way down to where we are. That's the world of wrestling, right? Because it's all scripted. It's all opinion, right? It's not like a boxing match or a football match where the best athlete gets a spot. It's some of that and some of who likes you. It's a combination of so many things in the pot. The wacky world of wrestling.
I don't want to equate it to this, but man, it's a fucking circus.
It is, yeah.
It's a traveling circus, and everybody wants their ride or whatever it is to be the number one ride, to have the most lineups, their games. If you're comparing it to a carnival, the guy who runs the dunk booth wants to have the highest numbers, etc. I get it. It's all competition. And it's a weird competition because it's almost like, in professional sports, you got to work hard for your spot on that team, on the roster, right?
Yeah.
And, but in wrestling, it's more what the fans think and this and that. But I mean, at the end of the day, wrestling is psychology. When you're in that ring, your ear has to be tuned to what that crowd is giving you, and you produce accordingly. I mean, that's just the basics, right? So I don't know, man. I just think, like you said, I think we're also dealing with a new generation of people from, millennials and zillennials that are coming in now, Zs that are coming into the industry. Like I would have to say that even the toughest wrestler today is soft compared to what the guys were like in the 90s.
For the most part, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think that also plays a role in it. You got bookers now that are Generation X dealing with these younger guys that have a different mindset, different attitude, in terms of how things are and how they feel and how they think they should be treated and what they deserve. That's the problem, even in the world of wrestling.
That segues into what I was going to say before we wrap the show up. Speaking of sensitivity, Jey Uso wins the IC title. He starts crying, which I've talked about in the show from Cody Rhodes guys. I think it's over the top. It's very, very, it's too much. It just comes across as, I'm sure he feels so great, but it comes across as cheesy to me. Now, we are giving opinions on all of these shows about what we think of professional wrestling, nothing personal. So one of the best bookers and creative minds in wrestling history, Vince Russo, says, these guys winning the belts crying over a prop. He's calling the belts a prop. They are props, but I guess Rikishi, Jey Uso's dad, thought he was downplaying it, so he's smashing on Russo, criticizing him, calling him out. This is pro wrestling, Rikishi. It's not real. It's scripted. I know they'll say they give their lives and all that stuff. We're giving opinions. Nobody's attacking your kid personally. Nobody's threatening them. That's what I'm saying about the hypersensitivity. Guys getting on the internet, getting all pissed off because people give their opinion. You don't like it. It's nothing personal. Wrestling's a work, and yeah, I thought that was pretty low class of Rikishi to attack a man for giving his opinion. You don't like it, that's fine. Disagree with him, but you're making it personal. Vince was just saying, hey, a grown man crying over an IC title. On all of you see all this crying in wrestling now. You wonder why the casual clicks it off. That's all he's saying. And for you to get that crazy over it is a bad look to Rikishi.
Oh, I mean, opinions are opinions. I guess he shared his opinion and he shared his opinion back. So I mean, it is what it is. But I can understand. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. Crying in wrestling, blah blah blah. But I get it. I get what was going on there. I mean, the guy's been grinding away. I mean, if you think about it, the dude's been there for almost 20 years, right? I
Yeah,
mean, he's been there longer than Roman, him and his
yeah.
brother, in
But what I'm
essence, right?
saying is the pro, like I was talking about the sensitivity. You're sitting there, you're attacking a guy for giving his opinion, what he's paid to do, give his honest opinion, what he sees. You don't have to like it, but to
Yeah.
attack him personally like that is way out of the line. It just goes to show you as a bad look at Rikishi. And I've met him before when he's come out here. He's a friendly enough guy, but this is pro
Well,
wrestling, dude.
I
People give
tell
their
you what,
opinions.
man, we're fathers. If someone attacks one of our children, I mean, I get it. I get it. I hear what you're
Oh,
saying.
absolutely. I would never do that. If my kid
No,
is a pro wrestler and they said, hey, your kid's crying out there, I think he's a crappy wrestler, I wouldn't take it personal because they're not attacking him as a person. They're attacking him as an athlete, as an
no, I
actor.
get that. I get that.
It wouldn't offend me at all.
No, maybe not you, but I think there's a lot of parents out there that would feel the same way. And I guess when you come from the same place and you've seen what he's had to sacrifice and endure and get through to get to that point, I can understand it. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? All right, brother.
Bad look, Rikishi. Bad look.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, perhaps, but I mean, I think he'll recover.
They'll be fine.
He'll be fine. I think everyone will be fine. But I tell you what, man, let's wrap this puppy up here. WWE was taped, Raw was taped this week. Reason being, they're in Europe. They're doing a 4-day tour right now in London, in the UK. And we'll probably see a couple more like that before the end of this year, where they're going to be traveling overseas, doing house shows and stuff there. So yeah, we
I
expect
wanted the main
a
thing
couple
about
more
the Raw. I
times.
didn't even care that it was taped. I didn't even watch it really because it's baseball and football's on. But I want to see the ratings because we had a big Monday Night Football game on, Josh Allen versus Aaron Rodgers. Plus we had the Yankees on. So I want to see how the ratings stood up. I don't know the numbers yet. They haven't released them. I'm thinking 1.4, 1.5. They probably lost a few 100,000 because of
Well,
that.
I tell you what, man, if you're going to tape shows, this would be the season to do it, right? I mean, if you can get
But
away with it,
yeah,
this
but
is
this
would
goes
be the way.
back to my point. I say WWE is better than AEW for one reason. They get more ratings. That
Yeah,
says that it's a better show.
yeah.
Now, if WWE is having a hard time standing up against baseball and football, where a few years ago they wouldn't be able to, that says all I have to say about the product. The people speak for it. Doesn't have to be me. The ratings tell you, right? More
Well,
people
I
rather
mean,
watch baseball than wrestling. But 20 years ago, that wasn't the case.
yeah, I think baseball's also come a long way back from where it was at that time as well, and whatnot. And plus, we're dealing with the playoffs, right? I mean, these things are always going to happen. I mean, AEW has to deal with it all the time
Oh
with
no,
the
AEW is getting
people.
crushed. I'm not even debating that. But what I'm saying is
Yeah,
there was a time when Ron was kicking Monday Night Football's ass and kicking baseball's ass. So you got to get back to that. I don't know how they're going to do that, but they got to do something different because what they're doing now is not working.
oh,
As far as here's a good analysis actually. But Buddy told me this in the boxing gym the other day. I said to him because casual boxing fan. He's like 25. Sorry, casual wrestling fan. He's like 25. You'll watch The Rock, Roman, Brock, those kind of guys. And I say to him, he's saying how bad it is. I said, well, it's not that bad. He goes, I said they're making more money now than ever. And he goes, yes, but just because you make more money, you make a lot of money, doesn't mean it's a good product. What did he equate it to? He said McDonald's makes a lot of money. Does that mean that it's a great food? Not really. I said that's a good analysis.
that's a good analysis, but I mean, there's a lot of people that don't share the opinion that you share that love it, right? I mean, so I
Well, more
always
people
look.
share my opinion than the people that watch it, though, because we're only getting 1.8 million out of 400 million people in North America. So more people are agreeing with me than that are watching it.
I don't know about that, man, but there's
Well,
more people who
1.8 million, we
watch
have
it.
400 million people in America. Where is everybody else? We used to have 5, 6, 7 million people watching it.
And that was a different product at a different time,
But
man.
that's what I'm saying is, so they
Yeah,
gotta
but
they
we've
gotta grow
always
the,
talked
but they're
about
not
this.
growing new
Like,
fans though. They're not
Right,
growing
but
new
we
fans.
always keep
They're
coming
losing
back. They
fans.
are growing new fans. How can you say they're not? I mean, all those new kids that are in
So
the
where did the
stadium,
four
all the
million
other
people go from
people.
Raw?
Pardon?
Where did the 4 million people go that turned off Raw?
They turned off Raw when it went PG.
Okay, so why can't they do something else to engage different, a new? Even though, let's say you lost those fans forever, they got to grow a new base. They're not growing a new base.
I
They're
disagree. I
stagnant.
think they are. I mean, if they haven't been growing a new base, then how come every house show, every stadium
But
show
that's
is
the
sold
same
out?
fans going up though. If you were getting new fans, the numbers
In
tell you
every
on the
city,
show.
you're telling me the same people are going to the same show, every show in every city? Is that what you're saying? They're
No,
not
I'm
the
saying
same
that
fans in every
they have a
city, man.
solid base of fans that'll always sell. They'll sell out their big four always. They'll always have a solid base of fans. I'm not saying they don't have fans; they're not popular, but
No,
their product isn't growing, or the numbers are showing on
three,
TV.
4 years ago, they were selling out. They were having problems with ticket sales and all of that, right? It's just everything's just kind of blown up again,
But
right?
like I say, how you can say AW's WWE is better than AEW? Raw kicks Dynamite's butt in the ratings. Period. You can't argue with that. But Raw's lost 3-4 million people over the last 20 years. You can say because they went PG, sure, those guys are gone. Then get a new fan base of people in and bring them up and get the ratings back up. They're not able to do that.
The only way they're going to get those kind of people back up is if they
I'm
go
not
back
even
to
saying
bra and
about getting
panty
those people. Let
matches
those
and
people go, but they're not growing a new fan base. Whereas the young kids coming up, kids don't watch wrestling as much as we did when we were younger.
no, but
Why
we
is
didn't
that?
have because there's more options now. Now, MMA is huge. A lot of those people are going in
But if
that
the
direction.
product is good, people will watch it. If it's a good TV show, people are going to watch it.
People are still
They'll come
watching
to it.
it though.
Hmm?
People are still watching.
Only 1,500,000, 1,800,000, not 4 or 5 million anymore. That's a lot of people gone.
Yeah, and it was like that up until the Attitude Era in that 2, 3 year reign, right? And that's all you're comparing it to, my friend.
No, I'm comparing even WCW, dude. We had two shows going. It was getting like eight
Right.
million
And
people.
that's when it was at the height of all the heights,
Well,
right?
yeah, that's what I'm saying is NFL is growing their numbers.
Yeah. So
Baseball's getting back up.
NFL's
WWE is
yeah,
not though.
everyone else is growing and there's a lot more out there for people to do. Plus the way things are
But the
consumed.
but
You
the
got to keep in
but the
mind how
question is
things are
simple,
consumed.
dude. Monday Night Football was getting 10, 12 million people. 20 years ago, they're getting 5, 6. Raw was beating them. They've doubled, tripled their fan base on TV. Raw has lost fans.
Okay.
Nobody can answer why.
I tell you what, brother man, this is the never ending debate that
I just
we'll
go by the
always
numbers,
have.
what the numbers say. I just go by the
Yeah, and
numbers.
I'm telling you why why those
Maybe,
numbers are.
maybe right, but you got to do something about it, bring the numbers back up.
Well, let's see what they do. They got Netflix coming up. They've gone down to 2 hours. They're going to open up the floodgates a bit more. This should open the door to an older demographic where most of those people are going to have to come from, right? In doing so, will they lose the kids? Will they lose the family aspect of
I
it?
actually think they're going to get less people watching Raw on Netflix. That's my theory. We'll see.
We'll
We'll
see.
see what
We'll see how
happens.
it goes. We'll see how it goes. All right, brother man, let's wrap this puppy up here.
Yep.
I think we covered a lot of ground. WWE is being pretty quiet for the most part. We are building up to Crown Jewel. So let's see what happens this weekend on SmackDown. Really interesting segment that I did want to point out very quickly. Roman and Jimmy, kind of reunited. Love that. That was kind of fun. Jimmy telling Roman, "Hey, we need more help. We need more help." And who he's referring to, and Roman goes, "No yeet," and
Yeah.
he leaves, and here we are, Monday Night Raw. I'll just share this. Um, Jay opens the door to the dressing room, and Jimmy's sitting there, and they have their little go, back and forth. Get away from me, man! I don't want to. I don't want to know. I don't want to be a part of it. So the road is building up here, man, and because after Crown Jewel, we only have 3 shows to build up War Games. So things are moving faster. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to the build up. Everything is everything. Guys and gals, my name is Bobby Sampson. He is Mr. Chance Michaels.
And in the words of the great ACDC, those that download, like, and subscribe to the podcast, salute you.
We do salute you guys, and remember, it is Tuesday. Happy Canadian Thanksgivings to everyone who celebrated. I'm still surprised that holiday isn't canceled, considering we live in such a cancel culture. Weird one, right?
Mm-hmm.
You thought that holiday would have been destroyed before every other holiday. Go figure. Anyways, no plastic straws, but safe needles for everyone. Guys,
That's crazy.
please relax, enjoy the week, go through the motions, take it minute by minute, day by day. The challenges will arise, things will happen, but you know what? Be strong, fight through them. That builds character, that builds you. If anyone's going to shit on you or tell you different than what you believe, they're not your friend and they don't have their best interest in you. Guys and gals, Samp and Chance are out.